where there's lots of mosses concentrated. Just a minute, I'm going to, there's this little image on my screen in the middle. Okay, and so there's lots of mosses, there's rocks in the meadow, there is, so you have the sphagnum and the specific mosses for damp areas, rushes, different grasses, and lots and loads of fungi. Because of the connection now to magnificent meadows, I have been going to a botanical naming course joined by Plant Life. That was really interesting, and it's the first autumn really that I've been diving into the meadow and looking for all the fungi that are growing there. And there's a whole bunch of fungi that I knew that were there, but that I didn't see, or I did see them, but I also documented them this time. So what you see here in the meadow is fly agaric. So you see the red mushroom with the white little dots. And then you see on the bottom right corner, you see an image of this really damp area in the meadow where there's lots of mosses growing, and also lots and lots of tiny little mushrooms. And I show you more images in a minute. So, and then I also have a close-up here of this is more of a grass area on the left bottom corner. So because we will be looking and thinking of the meadow in the next exercise, in the next drawing exercise that we will be doing after the introduction. Okay, just a minute, because I want to go to the next slide, but it's not doing it. Okay, I'm just seeing if there is something that I'm doing wrong here. Okay, yeah, here we go. So this is an image of the mushrooms in the meadow. So we have loads of wax caps in there, and I was quite surprised that some of these wax caps are really small, but they can be really very colorful. The one with the orange little sticks that you see in the middle is Cordyceps militaris. That's the Latin name. I never saw it before, so I also recently came across it when I was cutting down the gorse, because we have quite a bit of gorse in the meadow. If we don't maintain the gorse, then the meadow will disappear. So that's what we have to do. The cows are there, they nibble on the grass. But if the gorse or also the ferns are abundant, then we have to cut it and take care of it. So I'm going to see if I go back to the, yeah, here. So that's the other one that I skipped through quite quickly. So here you see some of the yellow coral fungus, so the golden spindles, which are really, really abundant and wild growing fungi that I didn't came across before, only tiny little individual parts, but not the groups of it. Yes, and all the other ones that you see here are wax caps. So pistachio color and the red one, and then, yeah, smaller ones, and a group of, again, of the fly agaric. So at the moment there's many of them growing in the meadow. So yeah, it's lovely to see. And then there's one that I wasn't quite sure which one it is, but I think it's it's a really tiny, the beginning of an earth ball. I really liked it. It looked like this spiky little shape, but yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to get out of my presentation. Okay, so Cassie, am I there that the people can see my hands?
I'll just switch the spotlight over. Your screen is still, your presentation is still sharing at the moment, so you need to close that first. And
yeah,
then we'll spotlight your...
Yeah, okay.
There we go, perfect.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So I want to start with showing you some, I will show them really slowly. So I brought some real specimens here from in the meadow. And I'm just checking on the sharpness of the image. Is the image okay? Can you see it properly?
It's looking great.
Yeah, okay. So here are some of the plants that are at the moment still like flowering. So we have some ragwort here that is, although I just picked it an hour ago, it's quite wilting away already, but that was standing and flowering still next to the meadow. So that's a colorful yellow flower. So there's a tistle that's growing in the meadow and still is having a purple flower. I was lucky to find the red wax cap, and it was just beneath the meadow on the footpath. So I thought I do want to pick it and show it and do in the workshop. And it was quite exceptional because it's the first time that I'm seeing the red wax caps growing there. And then there's another wax cap that I found, and that was on the footpath between the two areas of the meadow. And this one is called Witch's Head. I just looked it up today, and it's a conical wax cap. And the color is fading away, but when I first saw it, it was also bright red. But so I saw it 2 days ago, and it was still there. And then today I thought I will pick it. But you see, then you notice that the color is fading away. So there's quite a bit of gorse. So here's the prickly gorse that's in the meadow. And we have quite a bit of work to trim it. But it's also a beautiful plant to draw, I think. So there is also heather in the meadow. So, and I have to be honest again, this is a piece of heather that I picked just next to the meadow, because if the cows see that the heather is flowering, they will eat the little flowers. So then I won't find them anymore in the meadow. Yeah, so we have one of the earth balls. So there's many of them growing in the meadow. And then I want to, yeah, here is the rush. And so the grass that grows quite specifically in areas where it's quite wet. And so definitely some of the parts of the meadow are really wet. So our house is just underneath the meadow, and we have water coming from a source that comes straight from the hill. So, and it's really abundant when it's raining very hard. But then opposite to that, in the summertime, sometimes the source runs really slowly. So we have to be careful and be very aware of how we spend our water, because otherwise we run out of water. But so that's really nice to experience how it is to live quite close to nature and having the water coming as a natural source into the house. So that's really nice. Quite a bit of work sometimes, but it's nice. So and then yeah, these little grasses that I still have here, so they're very delicate, and I found some buttercups, Okay, so these are some of the specimens that I will use in a minute as well to encourage you to draw. So here I am with my table and with the materials that we are going to use to make this kind of scenery of a meadow. So as a whole, if I think what we are going to do, so we have Caroline here who will be working with words, and she will be talking with you in a minute to create talk with you and distill words related to nature and to the environment. And I shouldn't talk about it because she will talk about it herself in a minute. But and then Nessie will do a painting demonstration. So while you will be working, you will also have a glance and seeing how she's painting and what she is painting. And so what I would like to do with you is creating this kind of tiny little scenery that could be an expression or a sketch of a meadow, or of a road verge. And so because of also how Nessie is using she's recycling road signs to make her paintings on, and I thought it was also really useful, and it would make really sense for us to work on recycled material. So when I hope all of you were able to find some recycled cardboard that you can use. So I suggested in the introduction to use a cereal box. So it could be a cereal box. I've got a little box of some crackers. And so what we will do, so with the cereal box, you gently open it up. So you open it up so don't break down any of the flaps that are there. You just use them there, open them up. So I've got one that I've opened up here already, and I've also cut a part of it. So in the flaps, you could use that it will just stand up. So you create this kind of scenery that you can put later on the table, or you can put it on the mantelpiece. And also at the end of the session, we would like you to hold it up that we can see what you have been doing. And so I will explain in a minute about how we are going to draw on it. But so at the end, after you have filled it up with drawing, you could also cut it in and make this kind of, it will become this kind of backdrop that you can cut away elements from it, and that your drawing then will be on the scenery, and you can then put it somewhere where you can look at it. And also, of course, use it at the end of the session to show it to us, because with the workshops that we are doing this evening, we would like to bring a message across them. So with COP26 that's upon us to happen, so we want to pay attention and sensitize as many as possible people to be aware of the environment, and try to do everybody do their own little bit to do something for the environment. Okay, so one more thing to explain before we start on the drawing. No, I think I can do that afterwards. Okay, so does everybody have an area to sit in front of you, and do you have your materials? So I talked about pencils, colored pencils, or if there are any specific materials that you want to use, it's fine to use them. And so what we are going to do first, so yeah, let's see if there is anything that you want to ask me already, or if there is anything that is not clear. So I think you can write it in the chat. That's right, Cass?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to start with the exercise. So is everybody ready that you have a kind of piece of opened up cardboard in front of you, that we can start with a kind of memory drawing exercise with your eyes closed. Yeah. Okay, so you take a pencil. So I've got the pencil here, and I want you for this exercise. So what we are going to do, it's kind of drawing an expressive, so your lines will be marks on the paper, and they will be creating a visual of the meadow. But it will be a visual that will originate from thinking and remembering the meadow when you were there or when you saw a meadow. So it's about, yeah. So I think the best is that we start doing it and then you will understand it. So what I want you to do, so if everybody's ready, I want you to close your eyes, and then I'm going to talk you through thinking about the meadow. So usually when I do this exercise, I have this exercise done before, and I close my eyes as well. So the best is, yeah, so if you're comfortable, you have your pencil with you or a material that you really like working with. And first what you do is you feel the area of the cereal box or the piece of cardboard that you have folded open in front of you, and you feel it, that you can orientate yourself, that you know where it is. And then I'm going to start talking about coming into a meadow, but while I'm talking, I want you to react with your pencil to the words that I'm saying. So in the visuals that I have been showing you, you saw a close-up of grasses, of a detail of the meadow. So there's quite a bit of strands of grasses, and quite a bit, I'm saying, a real abundance of strands of the grasses and of the different varieties of green that are there. So think of it, and also just start making marks while you are listening and while I'm talking. Yeah. So yeah. So imagine yourself that you are coming, you're outside your house, you're going for a walk, you are in the park, or you can be in the garden, and you are going into this area where there's lots of grass. It could be a meadow. You could also, and so meadow, road verge, you could be walking next to a road verge and you're interested what is growing there. So try to think of an area and that you enter that area. So, and then this area can also, and so you can, for example, remember that you were in the park and that there was a picnic. So you were having some friends, you were having your family, you brought some food. So you were sitting down on the grass and you were having a really nice time. So you were socializing and the weather was nice, the sun was shining. And so the natural surrounding was really, really nice to be there and to enjoy. So another thing that you could think of is you could think perhaps when you were a child, how you were experiencing playing outside in the garden, and you were exploring the garden. Perhaps even you were walking bare feet on the grass. The grass was tinkling on your feet. And as a child, you perhaps were really curious. So you were laying on the grass, you were feeling the grass, and you were looking for insects perhaps in the grass. So perhaps you were imagine yourself that you were really tiny and that you were having the size of an insect, and were able to go in between the grass and crawling like a beetle, crawling perhaps like a spider, or like perhaps you were thinking of how it would be when you were a bee and you were flying above the grass looking for flowers. So keep on drawing, keep on making marks to create this backdrop just with your eyes closed. So I remember as a child that I was in the garden in our home, yes, in where I grew up. And we had quite a flat garden, but also to go up to the terrace, there was this little hill that you had to climb before the terrace was there. So what we did as children, we rolled down that hill. And so I very fondly remember how the grass was touching my face, how I felt I had to push myself down to roll from the hill. So I felt the grass on my fingers. And it's such a nice memory to think back of. So perhaps all of you have memories like that as well, of being somewhere in the garden and that you were exploring the garden and that you were feeling the grass. I remember as well that at one point the grass was, I think I was trying to make this kind of, you could use a strand of grass, put it in between your fingers, and you could make a sound with it. And depending on how you were holding the grass, you have to be careful as well, because grass can be really sharp. So at one point I cut myself with the grass. So I haven't been looking at my drawing, but there is quite a bit of strands of grass on my drawing. Okay, so you can keep on drawing for a while. Let's see how long we have been doing this. So I think, so this is the exercise that I was planning to do first. So can you see my drawing?
Yes.
So there is so I just used one color of pencil, but you definitely see this kind of grassy area that has been developed just by drawing and reacting and thinking. So when this is the start of your drawing, this is the start of your scenery. So I hope that some of you have been able to find some specimens and to have the specimens with you. So what I would like you to do, I would like you to elaborate on the drawing. So you could use the pair of scissors and cut out pieces of cardboard that you cut away to do the beginning of the scenery. You can use colors to add to the scenery. So also what you can do, so for example, I started a sketch here from one of the specimens. So this specimen is that's my glue. So that's willow herb or fireweed. I'm going to take a pencil. So when, for example, like you have been drawing with your eyes closed, you can use continuous lines to draw a specimen. And for example, this one, the fire herb, has all these curly little seed pods where the seeds have flown, have dried, have flown, have fallen out, and so the seed pod has been drying up, and it has this really curly kind of lines to create. Because of the drying process, it starts curling. So I've made a little sketch before of the willow herb part. So you could make on different sheets of paper, you can make tiny little sketches and you could glue them into your scenery. And so while the session is going on, so you can keep on working on it. And then, yeah, if there are any, so yeah, I will leave the specimens here so you can see them on the screen. But also if you have your own specimens, or perhaps if you want to use, yeah, so you can add some of these drawings, cut them out and stick them. And so you can make it like into a really abundant, lush meadow scenery. Okay, so are there any questions, or is it, are you good to go? Yeah, so I think now I can go to Caroline. Is that okay, Caroline?
Yeah, that's great. I'll start by sharing my screen as well, and so this is the Verge. I've been working with the road Verge. I live on Skye, and for a number of years have been looking at the roadside verge. And I think this photograph shows it well. Basically, the verge is a narrow meadow. The verge holds the relic plants from around, and it's often the only bit of land that has the plants that used to be in the land all around, with different farming habits, or maybe it's got overgrazed or various things like that. So I've been just thinking about the verge in different ways that it can is important. So it's important ecologically, but it's also a creative space, because it's the neutral commons area where people feel free to put up signs, put up some people even plant things on the verge, or they make little notices. So lots of things happen on the verge in this neutral space. And it's also important metaphorically, because it's this edge space. It's like an expansion joint which can hold ideas, or so it's not only holding plants and things, but it's a space where we can explore, we can get lost, or, you know, that liminal edge, exploring it in different ways. So I've been doing a number of walks with people along the verge, and just get with hand lenses, and we look at the plants, we tell stories about the plants, and just getting people to look at their local verge in a much more detailed and close way, noticing in more detail. So even on Skye, this is melancholy thistle, you know, that's an important habitat for the upland hay meadow habitat, and that they grow well on the verge, and then they're cut down each year. So I've been gathering words that relate to the verge. So these are the more official words. So thinking about, I've got roadside, edge, soft estate. Soft estate is the word that the Rose departments use for referring to the verges. Unofficial landscape, edgeland, plant refuge, nature reserve, fragment of ancient hay meadow, cultivated wild, cultural echo, commons relic, place of exchange. So these were the more official words that people referred to the Verge. And this is a series of words that over the walks and talking to people, I've been gathering from them. So these are just different words. So Cinderella space, chaotic outspace, seasons timeline, verdant, extraordinary, creative place, generous, liminal, literal, the long acre, the long park, place of crossover, virtual fabric of the community, agreed symbolic consensus of the edge. So over time, gathering words from different people, I've then made a poem using some of these ideas and thoughts which relate to the Verge. And this is what I'm hoping to do with you. So what I'm hoping is that you'll be able to put a word, if you think about something that relates to a word that you associate with the Verge, or it could be several words, just pop them into the chat and I'll note them all down, and hopefully by the end of it we'll have a new poem. So I'll just read this poem first. The Verge is a Cinderella space, the virtual fabric of the community, Britain's largest unofficial nature reserve. The Verge marks the edge of freedom, the agreed symbolic consensus of the edge, cultural fragments of past landscapes. The Verge allows the wild and the controlled, space for expansion, a change of viewpoint. So I'll just go on to the next slide. So what I really like about the Verge is just every Verge is slightly different because the habitat's all different, and it's just looking closely and you get this density of all different plants mingling with each other. So I've done in a few different ways. So this was up in Shetland where I gave a talk about the Verge and highlighted different aspects. And then I had labels and I had rope attached to the wall, and people wrote their messages on the labels and tied them onto the rope. So if I read some of those, which I wrote down earlier. Oh, yes. Edge, interface or surface. If we can learn to look, if we can learn how to look, a message from the past opens, offers possibility for the future. Stop cutting me. The edge is where you can fall off or fly to the sky. In between two worlds, space for walking and wandering. Our verges, refuges for people displaced by vehicles, as well as plants displaced by landscape change. A space to cross over, in between, belonging to no one, freedom. Traverse, frayed edges. So you can see there's lots of different ways of thinking about the Verge. So if I get my bits of paper, so if anybody, while you're drawing and things, you might just think of and it could be that it's something that you saw recently, or you can pop the words into the chat and I'll write them all down. Everything's welcome. So I walked along the Verge where I am just now, a little bit before. Oh, excellent. We're getting them in already. And I'll just read you what I saw. Red rowan, yellow buttercup, blue scabious. Bracken, my height, green, yellow and orange. Vestiges of summer, angelica, yarrow, knapweed. Red rowan berries lying on bright green grass. So that just gives you a little feel of what the Verge looked like. And some of it was trimmed and quite short, and others was longer with different plants. So I'm looking forward to welcoming your words, and I'll be writing these down and trying to make a poem up. I'll write all of them as you do them, and I'll pass over to Nessie, and she's going to do a demonstration. So I'll stop sharing my screen. So hang on. Oh, how do I?
can I jump into this?
Yeah.
Because I've seen some messages that I'm only just seeing. What if I don't have any glue or specimens?
Oh, okay.
So is it okay, Caroline, to react to that?
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Need
So-
my glasses.
So if you don't worry if you don't have any glue or specimens. So I think you can see my dish with all the specimens here, but it's also, what you can do is also draw from your imagination and draw from remembering when you were in the meadow. So it is your idea of the abundance, of the feeling of being there. So it can be, at the end, it can be a collection of lines and perhaps colors. So I've shown you some sketches that I'm drawing the willow herb, but you don't have to draw from a specimen if you don't like. It can come from your imagination completely. So don't worry if you don't have any specimens with you.
Can I comment too? I have nothing either, but I wanted to make something. So I've been just using my scrap of paper.
Yeah.
So you could use anything.
Yeah. Because also I've made this kind of, so at the end we will hold it up. And here, if you don't have any cardboard, I just use a piece of paper, and you can like put a little bit of these, you can fold it over on the bottom, and you can cut it in, and then you can fold them one by one to one side, and it will stand up as well. Or you can use some tape later on to tape it down, but or you can hang it up the wall at the end. So the idea of a scenery that you can put somewhere is an idea, but if you will make a drawing, that is fine as well, that you can hang up the wall. So what was there? Yeah, they're all words for Caroline. That's really nice. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So yeah, if there are any more questions, do put them in the chat. It feels quite, I know you are there, but I don't see all of you. So I'm talking in the air, but I know you hear me. So
Collectively, do we think that we'd like people to be unmuted? Would that be more enjoyable? There aren't so many that it would be too chaotic. I don't mind.
we can try.
Should we all unmute? And then if it's just crazy mayhem, then we can, I can mute you all again.
Yeah. So I also will keep on working on my scenery. And so it was really great to hear Caroline. So yeah, perhaps over to Nessie now as well. So Nessie will be in the backdrop working away. And we can all work away. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So while you're all drawing and doodling, Cass, first I'm going to do a little studio tour. So if you could put me on. Thank you, that's great. Welcome to my studio, which is a little shepherd's hut in Wadhurst, which is in East Sussex in High Weald. It's a landscape of woodlands and meadows, quite a few of them, and also road verges, of course. So here's a little tour of the studio. You see paintings in the background, some signs yet to be painted. Some you might have seen on my Instagram. So I became interested in painting on road signs because I found, here's a little one, because I went on some hikes. I'm a keen walker, and I was finding that on some of the hikes I didn't see any flowers at all in the fields, and yet if I was driving home I saw a lot more on the verges. So I really became interested in road verges from that point onwards. I've got a little slideshow to share with you, and I'll do a little bit of painting after that. Okay, are you seeing the slides? I'm hoping you are.
Yep.
We are.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. This is this one is Clackett Lane, actually, this little landscape here. Clackett Lane services on the M25. So as I was saying, my interest began on a hike where I didn't see many flowers except for on the road verges. That was the first, this painting here of cowslips was the first one that I made. And I was painting on metal at the time, so the logical next step was to use road signs. So that's a finished piece. It's 30 centimeters wide. It's just the smallest road sign, a speed limiting sign. And there's a studio shot from where I used to live. And I'm going to the next slides we'll just take you through the process of making the diversion painting, which you see there at the bottom. I just wanted to take you through some technique while you're drawing away. You can have a look. So this sign was based on a lay-by in Essex on the A120 with lots of very yellow flowers of bristly ox tongue, and the yellow just reminded me of a sign that I found. I've been the litter picker for my village for a couple of years. I'm not doing it now, but I was the official litter picker, doing 4 hours a week, and there was never any shortage. And I did find a lot of road signs which had to just be taken to the metal recycle centre. And in the end, some of them just stayed in the studio. I particularly like this one that somebody had annotated as well, Joy Diversion. This became the diversion painting because I wanted to use the yellow of the road sign for the yellow of the flowers. So I learned a lot about road signs. I learned that the metal ones generally, unless they're very old, the actual text on them is all just a big sticker stuck in the front. So I painstakingly peeled off the sticker apart from those parts, and then started painting on the metal. And this is the technique that I use quite a lot. It reminds me of how Annie-Mie started with her drawing with the eyes closed, although I didn't have my eyes closed. But the idea of actually just capturing the sort of messy backdrop of nature, the layers of dead stuff that are underneath, which I find fascinating, because the more you look down, the more there is, and that it's the real basis of the ecosystem, all the sort of dead rotting grasses and the little tiny seeds and things which feed other things. It's all going on underneath. You know, the flowers that we see are just the tip of the iceberg, really, the very top of it. But all the action really is, a lot of the action's going on way down underneath. So this is the process of painting, crawling over the surface. You can see there the yellow is the sticker. So it's reflective, and if you would shine a torch at it, that bit is very reflective. And this is a close-up, so you can, this is bigger than it is in real life, so you can see again what I want to talk about is taking out. A lot of what I do is actually taking off paint, just as much as putting on paint. Taking it off again can be as important. And perhaps if you've got an eraser, you can use that as it's very much a drawing material, just as much as a pencil is. So rather than just thinking of it as something which corrects mistakes, it's actually something which can do the drawing in the same way as I'll be doing with a paintbrush, actually lifting off the paint rather than putting it down. So that was where I got to. And then that was the finished version, having peeled the letters off as well in the end. So that's the diversion sign. So I'm going to do, if it works, hang on, stop share. So Cass, now if you can swap me over to hand cam, I'm going to attempt a bit of painting, as long as the technology holds up. If the hand cam is still there, I hope it is it?
Yeah, I'm just, bear with me. I think
that's all right. I know the Wi-Fi hasn't been, so I'm hoping it hasn't.
It is there, yes. Yeah, I
Okay,
found it.
brilliant. Okay, so yes, here we are. So this is a bit of metal from a road sign that I just cut out. Sorry, I don't think the quality is great on the camera, but anyway. And here is a little bit of turf that I dug up. So you can see all the messiness in here. There's some dandelions and grass and a bit of clover. So I'm basically going to start with, as Annie-Mie did. Cass, maybe you can give me some idea of time, because I'm not actually sure where we are with the time, but
I will do.
Let me know. Right, so, and I hope everybody, in any case, you're all drawing away. So, you know. So really the start is very, you know, it's just a mess. But then there's a whole lot of mess going on underneath in a meadow. So I often use, as well as paintbrushes, I'll use a painting knife. I'll use, in fact, one of my best tools is the end of this paintbrush, long since snapped. I don't really use the head of it anymore, but the end of it just seems to be just right. So that's been used in lots of paintings. Kebab stick, that's also one of my treasured possessions, as well as paintbrushes. I tend to use this type, the hog hair ones, the bristly ones, because you can really take paint off with it. Also, I use a lot of rags here.
Excuse me, Nessie, what sort of paint are you using?
Sorry, yes, good point. Oil paints. It's oil paint because, no, that's a good point. Please do ask me things. Yeah, because it stays open for so long, you can just, I can come back to this tomorrow and totally mess about with it all over again. And that really suits me. I'm also mixing, I have mixed in with the paint some linseed oil paste, which is basically like, where's my palette knife? It's kind of like gloopy honey, but it just adds an extra bulk to the paint and makes it quite transparent, because I paint in a very transparent way. Okay, well, there's some sort of background. And so here comes the grasses that Annie-Mie was putting in. There's a load of grasses sort of sweeping over there. And then something going on over here. Everything's going in different directions. And then we've got a dandelion going on here. So again, taking out, I find taking out is a lot better than putting in half the time.
Jill Walker, you've got your hand up, I think. Please do ask away.
Oh yeah, I've had it up for a long time.
I'm so sorry,
I
I only
didn't know
just
if it
saw
was
it.
working. Hello there. Nessie, I was just,
Hello.
yeah, my question was, I think it's just been answered. When I was looking at your paintings on the metal,
Yeah.
I wondered if you did a dark background first and then took stuff out, and you're doing exactly that.
Yes, well, that's a very good question. And that, yeah, basically this is the process. I mean, this is a bit accelerated. But yes, I tend to, because, well, it's taken me 20 years to get this messy, if you like. I tend to always fight against being too rigid in detail. So I sort of have to fight against myself in a way and start more messily to get a bit of fluidity in there, and then in the end get more detailed.
Yeah, because if you draw the plants and then try and put in the background, it's hopeless, isn't it?
Exactly, and you end up drawing every single grass blade exactly as it is, which I'm perfectly capable of doing, but that, you know, would take me a year to do a painting, and then you think, well, what are the merits of that? So it has taken me a long time to sort of break out from that. I don't want to lose the detail, but I want to lose the sort of
finicky aspect.
Yeah, yes, being actually being trapped by the detail. Yeah, definitely. No, it's good question.
I've stopped drawing. I'm just fascinated by watching it.
Oh, I hope it's coming across okay, because the image is a bit kind of blocky on my screen.
Seeing it emerging.
And this is obviously a bit compressed in time and everything, but still, I hope it's a good impression. So there's a start. Oh, I meant to put some green on, wasn't I? I got carried away with. I find the more I go on, I just really get interested in almost non-color, all the sort of the rotting greens and browns, the real subtle tones. You know, if I look deep into the grass, there's all kinds of really gentle tones in there. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly put that in for now. A bit of green up there.
Are they water-based oils?
No, it's the more traditional oil.
Okay.
I haven't used those at Alkyd. I haven't actually used those ever. Is that what you use?
I have been, yeah.
What are they like?
Yeah, easier than normal oils, but
Oh, really? Yeah, I never
yeah, I
tried
don't
them.
know. I've only just started using them. I don't know if I'm using them properly. But yeah, it's a bit less faff, I suppose, and it dries quicker.
Yes, I like the slow dry because I like to be able to come back and fiddle with things days after I've done it. So it suits me at the moment to have the slow dry. So now I'm going to take out and I don't use white for the highlights until I do use a bit at the end, but I like the translucency, because as soon as you use white, your paint becomes opaque. So then the light is doing something completely different. At the moment, the light is going through the paint, hitting the metal and coming back out. So you can get really glowing greens. As soon as you put white paint in, then it's bouncing off the surface of the paint instead. So it's just a different, I find it's sort of not got as much depth to it. Right, we need a bit of detail.
Did you prepare the metal first?
No, it's just a bit of an old sign. Well, I cleaned it. It's quite rough anyway, so no, I didn't do anything to it. And I have no idea over time if that's a problem actually, but anyway, that's just what I do. I haven't seen any evidence of reactions from paintings that I've done a few years ago on metal. So I'm just assuming it's all right to do that.
Have a look in a few hundred years.
Yes, yes. I think it's important to give art conservators work in future.
They're talking of covering Van Gogh's paintings in graphene, something called graphene, to preserve them.
Oh, really?
Graphene, I don't know what that is.
I think it becomes an art form in itself, doesn't it?
And where do I put a hand?
How's everyone doing with their pieces?
Susan, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I have, yes. I was just wondering if you exhibit your work in venues that are not art specific, if you like, not just in galleries, whether you try and get your work out of that kind of gallery system.
I would love to. I haven't, well, I recently exhibited in Wells Cathedral, but it was part of an art exhibition.
Yeah.
And I would love to use it as an intervention somewhere, or, to have a sign in the street as you walk along.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be wonderful. So I'm looking for opportunities, let's put it that way. I'd love to do that, because I think having things out of context.
Yeah, and it reaches more people, doesn't it? And that's the point, really.
Yeah.
And
no, I'd love to do that. Any ideas? Do let me know.
Oh well. But then it's how precious you would be about pieces, isn't it? If you were to put it out in the public, like you're just saying, you have a piece out somewhere.
Yes.
Then come the issues of protection and etc., and whether you're prepared to have it more vulnerable.
Yes, I think I would. I think I would. I think I'm taking a risk.
Yeah.
Probably.
So artists, according to our strict schedule, Caroline was going to come on and to talk more about the poetry and bring some words together.
Yeah.
Is that okay with everybody if we move on to Caroline?
Yeah, because I can just carry on. I'll carry on painting this anyway. So I don't need to be on the main screen, do I?
Let's see if I can spotlight a couple of screens simultaneously and we can see what everybody's doing at the same time. But for the moment, I'll go to Caroline. Caroline, do you want your your desk screen?
I don't mind. Oh, have you been? I presume people have been watching it. I can show you what I've got here. Oh, can you see that?
Which would you rather I spotlighted? Your desk screen?
Yeah.
Okay, bear with me 2 seconds. I think it's switched off actually. It's the I don't think the camera's on at the moment.
Oh, the battery's gone. So I'm just going to have to hold them up like this.
Okay.
So you can see, I don't know if people have been able to see my screen, but basically I've been scribbling away. And that's, so I'm actually just using people's words without adding anything. And I've got kind of sections which seem to be beginning to go together. So if you give me a few more minutes, I'm putting like little 2-line things, a series of them, and then we can read that out and I might change it around, but yeah.
Fabulous. Well, I'll nip over to Annie-Mie.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I've been drawing and kept on going. I thought it was so nice to see Nessie painting and listen to how she does it and look how she is creating this image. So it's really amazing, Nessie. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
and I've been working away on my scenery. So I was just putting in a mushroom in there. And so I was also thinking that perhaps I could put some words in my scenery. So it's quite expressive what I've done. I like the willow herb because I like the herb is so playful in shape. And it seems that the willow herb close to, so just in the area next to the meadow, the area sometimes in the spring gets grass fires. So this is something that also happens in the valleys quite a bit. And this is also something that I would like, together with the project that's coming up in Pontypridd. I would like to make people aware, make youngsters aware, make everybody aware of the issue of the grass fires. That's one of the issues that should be addressed and should be talked about. And so this willow herb or the fireweed is one of the plants that comes back really quickly after a fire has happened. And it was also the weed or the plant that grew after in World War II, when areas had been bombed, and so the first of the plants that started growing was also the fireweed, the willow herb, and that's why it's also called bombweed sometimes. So but the shape is incredible. And so I've started on making this kind of little mushroom there, the conical wax cap. Still have to work on that. Yes, and then I would like to put some letters in there as well. That's what I will do pretty soon. So is there anybody who wants to share something already of your drawings that you have been making? So we can also do it at the end when everybody is lifting things up. But I think the atmosphere is really great to work when you know everybody is working and you can glance how everything is evolving.
I can read, there's more. I can read out, I can read out a few of the things I've put together. A painful reminder of what we have lost, beautiful in the gold of dying. Verge, swish and rattle, its own soundscape. Verge root, stem, seed head, petal, a linear flower calendar. Whispering joy, hide and seek. I am a tapestry of hope. Lady's mantle, creamy clover, gowans. Bird's foot trefoil, seed pods, ragged robin, luminescent. So that's just a few bits so far, but I'll carry on.
Can I give you mine verbally, because I couldn't work out how to send it to you through the chat?
Oh yes, please do.
It's just 2 words. It's discarded preciousness.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Got one. I can't work out how the chat works either.
Oh, good. It's not just
So
me.
along the
Something in
bottom
it's
of the
not gone.
toolbar, if you sort of hover
Yeah,
at the
I
bottom.
tried that, and I've even typed it in the chat bit, but I don't know how to send it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, you just hit
press
return
next.
or enter.
Yeah, return, and it just goes.
Oh, try that.
Enter. You see, I'm
Enter,
a
yeah.
technophobe. I'm just using
That's all
enter.
right.
There we are.
We are too.
So, okay. Anyway, you've got my words.
Yeah, that's great.
How much longer have we got?
We've got a wee while.
Okay.
Yeah, still a little bit to go.
I can share a bit more of the painting process, if that's.
I've got you all
Okay.
spotlighted at the moment, so we're watching you all working hard.
Just busy.
And it's an absolute joy to watch. It's beautiful.
That's good. Don't feel I can write fast enough.
I'm adding the letters or the words "we are nature" to my, because that is of
Oh
course
yes, that's very good.
our title. So I'm just trying to blend it in the grassy scenery.
Okay, we need to.
So you can say the words to Caroline, but if you like to add a word to your scenery, then just add it. So because this title for the workshop, "We Are Nature," has come after the 3 of us were talking, and it's like humans are really part of the whole system. So we shouldn't see ourselves above or single from the natural environment. We are part of it, and if we don't take care of nature, we won't be able to exist either. So it's all one big system.
Oh.
Do you need more words, Caroline, or do you have enough?
No, I've got loads. I'm just trying to put them together, make sure I've used everything. Or seen, yeah.
Oh, very quiet.
Yeah, it's
Fantastic. Either everyone's busy working or everyone's gone off for the tea.
Concentrating.
But it's amazing to share a very peaceful moment on the internet.
yeah.
I wasn't expecting that, to be in the zone. Good.
Oh, I've lost that one.
I can hear some frantic scribblings out, which I think is a
Yeah.
pudding being torn.
Or pastels.
Or pastels.
I think for future sessions, there should be a request that the participants also have a sharing screen so we can see what they're creating too.
It wouldn't be a surprise at the end then, would it?
This is true. At the end of the session, we are very much hoping to be able to share the collective images that are made. And I'm a little bit concerned about our data protection regulations and stuff. So I think I won't be able to get your email addresses from the booking system. So I think if you want me to contact you after this with the poem and with screenshots of your images together, I think the best bet is to pop your email address in the chat. That seems like the most sensible solution. And then I can contact you tomorrow. Otherwise, follow our social media.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the poem somewhere.
Mm.
So I could almost read something out. Shall I do that?
Yes, please.
I don't know if I've managed to remember everything, but we'll see. Verge, a painful reminder of what we have lost, beautiful in the gold of dying. Verge swish and rattle, its own soundscape. Verge root, stem, seed head, petal, a linear flower calendar. whispering joy, hide and seek. I am a tapestry of hope. Lady's mantle, creamy clover, gowans. Bird's foot trefoil, seed pods. Ragged robin, luminescent. Not just a pretty space, a series of sequestering stems, living history. Halo of insect haze, umbelliferous, flutter by butterfly. Discarded preciousness, luxury in wasteland, sanctuary and restaurant. Every shape and color, allowing space to breathe, unimproved. Wild poppies dancing in the wind. There you go. That's what everybody's written.
It's beautiful.
amazing. Yeah.
I hope I've remembered, I've got all, I basically haven't altered your words. And I think I've got everybody, all the, oh, I might not have got outsider. And then I didn't, there was carbon sequestration a few times. So I might, I've just put it in once. Oh, and yeah.
So I'm definitely going to share it on the Plant Life Cymru platform on Twitter. So it'll be there. And hopefully on the main Plant Life platform too.
What I'll do is I'll email that to you tomorrow, or I might kind of look at it and yeah. I really enjoyed doing the drawing. I knew I wouldn't be able to concentrate on doing the drawing, Nessie, but I'm just going to hold up my, because I just did it on a piece of paper and I was like,
Oh, yes.
I was all with my closed eyes. I thought I'd covered the sheet, but that was really nice.
Yes, yes.
It's interesting, isn't it? I thought I was drawing things really big, and when I opened my eyes, they were quite small.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you wouldn't be able to see anything, but you can. And something that I was going to say, but I didn't think, but linking to Annie-Mie's. When one of the things when we did the walks along the Verge, people just remembered their childhood and remembered getting up close and looking at plants, and people suddenly remembered different games that they did with plants. So I used to make daisy chains, but one person did this thing where she had, was it plantain? No, it wasn't. It was the pineapple weed, and she poked something in. It was a very strange thing, but it was very specific. So everybody had their own memories of what they were working with. It was really interesting. Or even stories and rhymes that go with. That's amazing, Nessie.
Yeah,
it is.
it truly is.
So, I mean, such a short space of time.
Yeah.
I think I'm about done with what I can do with that. I don't know what it looks like on the screen, but yeah.
It looks great.
Incredible.
Yeah, it does.
I had the idea. I wondered what we should do with it. You know, like post it to somebody, or post it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Post it to an MP. I don't know.
Yeah, make it count.
Make it count. Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe make it into a postcard, because it's like postcard size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make lots of postcards of them and send them everywhere.
Yeah.
So the oil paint, Nessie,
Yeah.
you just, you can go back the next day and kind of fiddle with it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then once you decide you've done enough, you just leave that for quite a few days and then it dries.
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, I use it so thinly that it doesn't take that long, that many days, a few days, and it's dry. I guess that's why I like it to stay wet as long as possible.
Yeah, it's more like a glaze, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is, because
So do you mix the oil paint with something to make it thinner?
I mix it with that gooey stuff. Where's the pot with this.
Oh, right.
So it's not runny, because runny, you know, is no good if you're trying to scratch into it. But it's linseed oil, but jellified somehow. I don't really know how.
Yeah.
But it's transparent, but not runny.
And you're drawing that from looking at your sod of turf that you.
Yeah, it's not showing up on the. I've got it next to me here, but
Yeah.
it was supposed to be on the screen, but it didn't quite make it. But it's just here. Look.
Yes.
So it sort of is and it isn't. Oh yeah, my phone's doing the. If I try to do that, it flips it to the side. But
Right.
it is. It sort of is and it sort of isn't. I haven't done. I've done a bit of it. Where is it?
Oh, it's a starting point, isn't it?
But yeah, exactly. So I haven't kind of, you know, copied each blade of grass, because it just.
Yeah. Well, it makes me think of Jura's famous.
Oh, that's amazing! Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Great indeed.
It's just the way it's so contemporary. You just think, well, it's exactly the same thing that he was looking at. We're looking at.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which he shouldn't strike me as being amazing, but it does strike me as being amazing, because so much is stylized what you see.
It's incredible the way it's just emerged out of the depths.
Yes.
It's amazing.
But here's a challenge to you. You know, if you're making another drawing, why not try charcoal or pencil, but sort of covering your paper or card first with a lot of dark, and then working into it with an eraser, and see how, I don't know, just see how that goes as a technique. Because starting with nothing, I think, is actually really hard, whereas starting with something you can take away from, I think, is easier.
It's like, to get rid of the white page.
Yes, the white page is very intimidating.
Yeah.
Quite reductive painting, isn't it?
I found it quite interesting painting on the cardboard, because it's that sort of colour that blends in quite well, really, isn't it? With
Oh, you're
nature.
right. It's not white. Yeah, that's an advantage.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Penny, by the way.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I agree. In fact, it's a similar colour to the metal that I'm working on.
I've already posted a link to the Grassland Plus website, but I'm going to post it again, because I would be so pleased if everybody could sign it. It's the message that goes to the UK government to just to talk about grassland. Trees are talked about all the time, but grassland just isn't getting the recognition at all.
It's really, really important.
It is massively important, and there are some really good talks throughout this series this month. There was one yesterday and I think last week about grassland policy, and despite all the hard work to get this message across, I mean, it's still not being brought up, and it's really important. So yeah, have a look and do sign it. It's just grasslandsplus.org.uk.
Did mine already.
You've done it already, did you say, Rosalind?
Yeah, I've been watching a few of these things.
Oh, fantastic. Which ones have you enjoyed, apart from this session, obviously?
Well, I came midway. I think the first one I did was the tapestry one.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I got into the spire anthropology, and now I'm skipping anthropology to do this.
I've just realised Kandinsky isn't in there. He kept coming in and then.
So, Caroline, have you always made poetry?
Not really. Well, I suppose I just like putting words together, or in a way, it's like thinking. It's like different ways into a subject, and sometimes if you have words that are just, you know, a poem or just different words, it can just open up your mind in a different way, and you see something in a fresh way. And I think it's quite interesting, and the sort of space for your mind to
Scarification of the mind or something.
Yeah, have different ideas and stuff. Yeah. I can just see that I think that's, yeah, that because grasslands are really important habitat.
Heather's just said about worrying about grasslands being planted up with conifers, and in fact we have got a talk called Right Tree, Right Place. I'll just see if it's still, whether we've missed it, whether it's coming up.
It's
Because
tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, there we go, thank you.
1 o'clock.
Because that's, I think people, and trees are brilliant, and obviously trees are a solution in lots of places, but it's just a bit of a knowledge around where and yeah, and why. And in terms of time scale as well. Of course, it's going to take quite a while to reach maturity and to play the role.
So perhaps we can, if anybody wants to talk about what we have been doing, or any more ideas, or yeah, so perhaps we can, if anybody wants.
Stop.
How long will it? It's getting 20 to 8. So also for lifting up the work and then taking the screenshot.
Should we say another 5 minutes?
Yeah, or 2 minutes until 1:45, and then.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Sorry, if I slam the oven there, I just remembered to put something in the oven.
I hope it's not burnt.
Excuse.
I hope it's something with plants in it.
So do you think perhaps we're ready to share now?
Okay.
Deep breath.
Yeah. We're all doing it together.
Yeah, all together up to your cameras, and I'll try and take a screenshot of sort of the mosaic coming together. So if you could try and fill your screen, that would be amazing.
Oh, look at that, beautiful. So is it possible to change the setting that the people are all over the screen?
I've got it on gallery view.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And I think
great.
that's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
Annie-Mie, you'll have to hold yours closer or something. It's disappearing. That's better.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's fabulous. That's great.
So who is Cassie? Are you
Francis,
taking-
can you hold yours up again?
Excellent.
Francis, could you hold yours up again? Oh, fabulous. Thank you. And I'm just going to take another picture. That's wonderful. And I'm also going to, that's great. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm also going to put my email address in the chat. And then if you want to, you could take another picture of it and send it to me. And that might be a clearer shot that I could then montage together. So it's just, if you can't see the chat for some reason, it's cassie.crocker@plantlife.org.uk.
If you put it in the,
Yeah, I've put it in the chat as well.
that's helpful. Yeah.
Crocker.
Cassie, CASSIE .crocker at plantlife.org.uk, but it's in the chat as well.
And yeah, and then you can send the poem as well. I'm going to reorganize it so that I've got a kind of sequence of things so it flows a bit better.
It's so lovely to see everybody and to see all your because I've been staring down frantically, actually. It's lovely to look up and there's a sea of faces and to see all those meadows. They're fantastic. Really great.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent work, everyone.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions or anything?
No, just thank you.
It is the first time that we do a thing like this with the three of us.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's nice.
That was a first. Yes, I think so as well.
You hold a good space together. You should do lots more of them.
Yeah.
I have to say it's more relaxing than I thought it might be.
Yeah.
Totally absorbing.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I think it worked well with the three of you doing stuff at the same time, actually. I hadn't appreciated how good that would be, just the collective energy of all three of you working.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Could smell the grasses and hear the bees.
That's beautiful, Francis. Thank you. And you will get an email, a generic email from Plant Life asking about your experience. So if you have enjoyed it, do gush about it, because it'll help me persuade them to do lots more things like this. It's a new thing to Plant Life, so it's an exciting avenue, an important one, I think.
Yeah, I think all different ways of engaging with the landscape is good.
Different voices.
Yeah. Making things, words, physical involvement. Yeah. Identifying plants.
Yeah.
Tasting, smelling. Yeah.
Thinking about them.
Sorry?
Thinking about
Yeah.
them. There's been some quiet space here tonight, which has been refreshing.
Yeah. But it is like Annie-Mie said earlier, it's that interlinking of everything. And yeah, that's what's really important to remember.
Can I just ask, is Plant Life an international organisation, or is it just restricted to the UK?
We have international projects as well. So there's Plant Life International.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you, I'll put a link in the chat now, but yeah, there's separate
Okay.
page that'll tell you more about the work. But yeah,
I'm actually in the Netherlands at the moment because that's
right, okay.
where my daughter is. So I'm staying with my daughter. So yeah, I was wondering if it was
welcome.
European.
So most of our work is in the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of sort of work with IPAs abroad as well.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Kat, for asking us and for bringing us together.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Absolute pleasure. It's been an indulgent journey for me, really. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I don't know, tomorrow I'll be a bit bereft thinking that there are no more meetings to discuss our plans, but I look forward to receiving the poem and sharing all the fabulous work. And yeah, many of you have put email addresses in, so it's great, and I'll feedback. But if you want to share your pictures independently, if you use hashtags like Grassland Plus or COP26, or Not Just a Pretty Space, and just I think the visual campaign helps what can otherwise be quite a wordy, dry campaign about the environment, and just gives it a different voice.
Okay.
So I guess unless anybody has anything else to say, then I think maybe we'll wrap up here. And yeah, just been really fabulous to share this space with you all.
Yes, you were really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you so
inspirational.
much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye.